Hello my dear viewers, today is April 25th and my first video is a bit late because I've devoted the first half of the day to speaking at the Internet Security Forum. It was a fruitful discussion, not even a discussion but a conversation. Sometime later I'll speak about the consequences. Hopefully they'll take place and they'll be good. Today I'd like to dedicate my first video to the topic that in fact I've been waiting for a long time. This morning within a few hours 5 Ukrainian railway hubs were damaged at one stroke. The strikes were made on substations without which the traction of electrified railroads and most of the main lines were electrified, and accordingly the trains on them are pulled by electric locomotives. Thus 5 substations were hit. Up to 2 dozens of passenger trains were delayed by an hour or 2 or 5 or 6. That is, the train connection was paralyzed on a part of the territory of Ukraine. But by 1:30 p.m. Ukrainian railways reported to have localized the problem and the passenger trains would be got away. This is not about cargo trains at this point. But what do I want to say about it? You know, if we look closely at the map of the Ukrainian railroads showing electrified and unelectrified lines, and very important, if we look at the traction equipment of Ukrainian railroads, we'll see that the vast majority of transportation is carried out using electric traction. As of 2020, Ukrainian railways have been served by over 1,600 electric locomotives and around 300 mainline locomotives. Why is it so important, and why am I pulling your attention to this essential detail? The point is that today the majority of military transportation for the Ukrainian military is carried out by railway, because transporting by wheel equipment is too long, above all very expensive. Another problem is that diesel fuel supplies in Ukraine are falling off. Attacks on fuel depots have their effect. This means that by paralyzing rail transport, the Russian command can achieve its main objective, to paralyze the Ukrainian military in the strategic movement of troops, which is extremely important in view of the very important near-term operations, and I think not only on the Donbass front line. And so I guess in order to paralyze the Ukrainian railroads and get by with a minimum force, including missiles, the decision was made to hit the substations. Let's imagine a situation where all or most of the substations have been put out of operation. Accordingly, 1,600 electric locomotives, or most of them, will stop without traction because there will be no electricity. They can only be replaced by 300 diesel locomotives. It should be taken into account that these 300 diesel locomotives are already used by other parts of Ukrainian railroads. And we should also remember that some of them have already fallen into the hands of the Russian troops. For example, in Kherson and Zaporozhye regions, others were destroyed in action in Chernihiv and Sumy regions. And thus the maximum that Ukrainian railways can provide for the replacement of electric locomotives. Because what's the beauty of diesel locomotives? They can run anywhere. No electric traction, well and good. Fill up with diesel and off we go. So the specifics of the Ukrainian railroads are that it's impossible to replace electric traction. Moreover, in this case, the European Union cannot help for one simple reason. The fact is that the width of the railway gorge in Europe and Ukraine is different, and accordingly we cannot just bring European diesel locomotives here. And it follows that if the Russian command continues to strike Ukrainian railroad substations, it may be a much more elegant and effective solution than hitting railway bridges. We'll see what's going to happen. In fact, if the Russian command has really decided to block the Ukrainian railroads, we aren't going to wait long. Such strikes must continue all the time. Not until then they will have the desired effect. That's about what I wanted to say in this video. Next one will be a report from the fronts, which will traditionally come out in the evening around 9 or 10 p.m. Kiev, Minsk and Moscow time. Goodbye.
по Киеву, Минску и Москве. До свидания.